You can even straight out lie. You know, if you're in the middle of a fight somewhere, you can say, hey, this guy's pushing me at my base, or you know, just tell him, hey, he's got a huge army, he must be mining a lot of gold, and just try to make it look like he's the more powerful player. And, you know, he'll obviously counter you if he wants to talk in all chat, and then it's up to the players to either scout or believe whoever they want to believe. In games when you don't know the players' names, it's really hard to realize or to know if they're the liar or not. Like in this game, these players probably know each other a good amount about, because they probably played a few games with them, and they know who's typically someone who's going to manipulate and lie and try to win the game by talking and by influencing other people's actions. In other games, like in ladder games, you're not necessarily going to know that, so you just kind of got to go on what's happening in the game itself. If you found out someone has lied before or who has backstabbed before, you might not want to help that person out or not believe them when they say what they're trying to say. But the only sure way to do it is to scout, and that's how you can prove who's telling the truth and who's, you know, lying, and in order to make your decisions. All right, you guys should be at the 15-minute mark. It took me a few minutes to get there, but I've been talking for more than a few minutes, so I want to analyze what happened in the first quarter of this replay real quick, and then we're going to unpause it. Actually, let's go ahead and unpause it right now, and let's do it at 2x speed. We're going to unpause it, and we're going to look for the 30-minute mark. If you want to not worry about the unpausing, you can go ahead and sync it up to the 30-minute mark right now, and we'll go it. I haven't unpaused yet, so I'll give you guys a countdown for this. But I'm at 2x speed at 15 minutes right now, and I'm going to unpause, and we're going to try to be syncing up to the 30-minute mark while I discuss what happened in the first quarter of this match. And then I'll pause it there, we'll discuss what's happening in the second quarter when we go to the third, and so on. So I'll give you guys the sync ups, and I want you guys to be familiar with your keyboards in this. This is going to be an active audio commentary if you want it to be. If you want to be watching the replay and keeping up with me, you're going to have to be syncing up and pausing and unpausing. And also be using your F11 key on your keyboard. That'll cycle between the players so you can watch their resources. A lot of what I'm going to be talking about in the quarters is going to be based off of hero levels, resources, mines, things like that. And you'll be able to want to quickly find that person by cycling through their names using F11. And you can do this in any replay, by the way, but it just helps a lot in free-for-alls. So get to know your F11 key. If you have Fraps, I think Fraps is an F11 key too, so you might want to turn Fraps off or something, or you might be taking a video of this. So 2x speed, 15 minutes. We're going to unpause in 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, unpause. Again, as soon as we get to the 30-minute mark, pause there. I'm going to try to just keep an eye on my time while I talk so I can pause there as well. In the first 15 minutes, you want to take a look at the heroes, the hero levels, the resources, the mines, and the upgrades. And based on that, you can kind of determine who's ahead and who's winning at this point. Early game, obviously, it's not as influential as it is later game, but this is something to keep in mind. So in the first quarter, the hero levels for the Orange Night Elf player were 5, 3, and 1. He had 6,000 gold mine, which is the most out of the 4 players, and 145 wood at the time that I calculated it. He was mining from 3 mines and has 1 upgrades on his units. That gives him 2 points in my ranking system. The red player is actually doing the poorest right now. He has 1 point because his hero levels are really low. They're 4, 3, and 1, and his resources are low as well. They're only 1694 gold, which is actually more gold than the 2 undead players, but because his hero levels are so low, and he doesn't really have an army or big upgrades. He has Master Casters is really his only big upgrade that he has. He does is mining solid out of 4 gold mines, but you'll see in this second quarter what happens with that. He has a 45 out of 70 army starting off, so he's the lowest army count. I gave him 1 point. He's not really doing too hot. This is the 5th ranked player in the FML ladder that was doing so poorly early on here. The Pencil is the blue undead player. He has 4, 3, and 2 as his hero levels, and he has got 2 points in my point chart at the moment. 12,553 gold is what I calculate, so just whatever, 12,000 gold, 1,200, 12 and 3 zeros is what I meant to say. I'm so bad with that. Was mining out of 3 mines and has 2 upgrades. That's such a big key. He's ahead in upgrades above everybody, and his hero levels are pretty consistent with the other undead players, so he's not that far behind. He's even tied for first place is what I did with Nublex because he's got such even hero levels and the higher upgrades. So I gave him 2 points as well. The purple undead player, which is Unholy, is at 4-3-2 again with his heroes. A lot less resources than any other player in the game. Is mining pretty solid out of 4 mines, but Actually, not solid. He's only got 2 mines that are really set, and 2 mines that are just started, and he wasn't able to really get a lot from them, which is why his resources are probably so low, because he's been spending so much on buying expansions and things like that. So he's got 1-0 upgrades, which is less than the 2-1 upgrades for the Pencil Undead player. And I gave him 1.5 points. So at that point, he's in second place, and Nublix and the Blue Undead player are at that. In the first part of the game, the red player starts off in the best position. Now, this is something to make note of when you're playing free-for-all in your own matches. If you're in a good position, that is with more mines in between you than the other few players, like red is, when he started off, he was in the on the far left position. I don't think it wasn't bottom left. It was roughly the 9 o'clock position is where he started. So he started off there, which is a really good position. He's got 3 mines in between him and the nearest player, which is Nublix, and a lot more in between those 2 undead players. So he's got a really good position. If he was able to scout more early on, which he probably did, this enabled him to get 4 solid expansions up. Now, if the other players would have left him alone, we'll see in the second quarter here that they do not do that. He would have been able to get a really serious advantage because he teched so fast, just like everybody else did, but he had more gold mines, solid gold mines, than anybody else. And if the other players were busy fighting each other or doing something else, he would have been able to save up a lot of resources and be able to defend his expansions a lot more. That doesn't happen, and we will talk about that a little bit more in the third quarter. So there's no really big fights that happen in the early stage. The early part of this free-for-all is pretty much scouting people out, figuring out what's happening, and creeping for the most part, doing a lot of heavy creeping. You want to try to get as high level on your heroes in the first 15 minutes as you can. Getting 5-3-1 is a really good job by Nublix, so that's something you want to keep in mind. Get as high level on your primary and on your secondary hero, and get your third hero out as well by the first quarter's end. So that's something to think about. Get some items on your heroes, just really scout them out, get a few expansions set up. You don't want to start any big fights this early on, because you could piss somebody off, and then they'll come in and take you out early and cause a lot of problems. You never know who you're fighting against, especially in BattleNet, that when you don't know their identity. So someone might have a really bad attitude about that, and you might not be able to form alliances with them later. That's not to say that you never can form alliances with people that you fought early game. A lot of the time, someone calling them an idiot or a douchebag or whatever, calling them names in the game, end up being really good friends with each other later on, and being able to form little alliances to extend the game for themselves. That's all what you're trying to do, is you want to make it to the late game. You don't want to be the person that gets beat down early. You want to be the person who's standing at the end. That's the goal. You want to be the person who's winning at the end. So try to be friends with people early on. Don't make too many big arguments starting out. Just really focus on getting your expansion set up, trying to fortify them maybe a little bit, and really try to hoard resources in this early stage of the game. Don't break 50 food unless you really have to. Try to stay in under 50 food as long as you can. Let's see. The biggest fight that happens is blue pencil's ready to go. Okay, so blue. We'll start since we're getting close to the 30-minute mark. The purple undead player and blue pencil are actually really set to make a big fight happen here. And I don't know if it's the timing involved or whatever, but they end up fighting each other pretty much at the same time around the end of the first quarter here. And what happens is the blue player, the blue undead player, Pencil, ends up fighting Nublix up at his base, whereas Unholy Dreadlord gets a really, really good hit on the red orc player and is able to finish him off, actually. Give me 1 second. I want to sync up to the 30-minute mark so I can continue talking about what's happening in this next quarter right after. I'm fast-forwarding right now. I was at 27, but I'm going to be syncing at the 30-minute mark, and I'm going to be pausing for a quick second, and then we'll talk. I'll let you know when to unpause at 2x speed, and we'll go to the 45-minute mark and pause again. But again, we're watching at 2x speed if you want to watch the replay. Hopefully you guys are getting a handle on this. I'll be as clear as I can when I'm talking about it. All right, I'm almost at the 30-minute. Okay, I'm at the 30-minute mark. 2x speed, a little bit past the 30-minute mark, but that's okay. So what happened here at the end of the beginning of the second quarter was Blue and Perp ended up starting their fights. The 2 undead players started fighting the other 2 players. Perp fought Red, and if you guys were watching it all through the first part of the commentary, man, that's going to be hard. If you're watching the first part of the commentary and listening to me talk about the first part, that might be a little difficult to talk about. Anyway, I've gone this far. We'll just keep going with it because I think that's how I want to do it for now. although I can definitely see the problem with it at the moment. Anyway, Perp ended up really annihilating Red. Early game, the Red Orc player put a lot of money into his expansions and just setting up expansions, and didn't put enough into his army. He maybe thought he was in a better position than he was, and Perp was able to come in with an 80-foot army, quick max that out to 100, and beat